Yes. On that note, Missy, so we're going to have to retake this. Hi all, it's Rachel from Missy Sewing, and this year is Missy. And today, Missy is going to be the star of the show. We celebrate 11 years of owning Missy in February. She turns 12 this year. And what I thought would be great fun would be to use this book I got for my Christmas, which is Knits for Dogs by Stina Tiselius. Apologies in advance on the pronunciation there. And I'm going to use the cable sweater pattern and this black and white wool that I've managed to acquire. And what I thought would be great fun would be to have you follow along as I attempt to reacquaint myself with knitting. It's been quite a long time since I knitted anything. So to bring you along as we make Missy her sweater vest, hopefully in time for her Adoptiversary. And along the way, I thought I'd share some stories about how Missy came into our lives and just some funny anecdotes about her. So what we're going to do is, first of all, blow the dust off my knitting needles. We're going to review the pattern, and then I'll share some stories along the way. You've been warned, this is going to be a bit of a rambling post. Consider it a love letter and sweater vest to the dog. See you soon. So this is the cable sweater pattern. I think it's quite cute. My plan is going to be to put a divide in along the side here between the cable and the sort of stockinette. Missy doesn't like to be wedged into jumpers. She prefers an opening, and she's getting a bit arthritic in her knee, so I don't want to be forcing her into anything. So now I just need to measure her. This was the moment I realised I'd made a mistake. The miniature schnauzer in the photo really should have been a giveaway that the patterns would all be far too small for Missy. I'm going to have to sit down with a calculator and try and rejig all the measurements to make it fit, because she's getting this sweater vest one way or another. So this was meant to be an easy foray back into knitting, but apparently not. So let's have a look. What I'm going to have to do is, their windfoot neck is 42. Missy came in at 43, so I'm not too worried. We'll have to add in a couple of extra centimetres for there. The chest is a big difference at 51, and she is 69. Missy's very deep barrels in her chest. And in the length, usually these things are just knit until the desired length. So a quick look. Back, lower section. Yeah, until measure is 31 centimetres. So I can do the length, I can just keep going with. That's not a problem. So I'll probably need to space out between the legs a little bit more, as well as another thing we need to figure out. So we got this. We got this. Yeah, I'm gonna sit down here and work out what changes I need to make to the pattern, and whilst I'm doing that now, Editing Rachel will fill you in on how Missy came to join us in our lives. We had planned on a greyhound. My husband grew up with them, and whilst my childhood pet was a mongrel, I liked the idea of getting a dog that we would know what to expect for in terms of temperament. So we did go to the rescue centre in Fife and were matched to some lovely greyhounds, but we just didn't click with them. My husband was adamant he wanted to go to a proper shelter, a pound, and asked if there was one in the Central Belt. And there is. There's the Edinburgh Cat Home, which is where we went. And I remember walking down the kennels and got all the dogs barking and their tails wagging. And then there's this tiny pocket of calm. And there's 515, the rottie that shrunk in the wash. And the staff were like, she's so friendly. So my husband literally put his hand through the gate and she ran up and pirouetted on her back feet before giving him her paw, and that was it. Her little paws were stamped on our hearts, and we knew we had to have her. She still needed spayed and things, so there was a cooling off period before we were allowed to take her home. As I said, she was 515, straight off the streets, and they hadn't actually named her yet. But we didn't want to name her before we got her. So for these 2 weeks, it was the little miss. You know, how do you think the little miss is doing? And where should we put the bed for our little miss? And that was how Missy came to be. She was our little miss, and it really did just stick. Sorry, update on the neck. So here's the ribbing for the collar, and we've moved to the flat work with the cabling. I'm pleased to say I've not forgotten how to cable, but that's not the point of this video. It's on this lovely little lady here. So, Missy. We have had a lot of people over the years asking if Missy was named after the Doctor Who character. We're big Whovians, so it makes sense, but she actually does predate the character. Being a big Disney fan, I have had people ask if it's from the original 101 book. And Missy was actually the main dog. It was Missy and Pongo, not Perdita. The scandal. But no. We also, I used to joke with my niece that her full name was Miss Daisy, hence the name of the channel. We also had for quite a long time, we would say that it was actually short for Mishap. Missy here was, and to be honest still is, very accident prone. In the first year we had her, I do think we actually hit double figures and made about 10 claims on the pet insurance. We're probably one of the only people who've made a profit out of the pet insurance. The fortunate thing with her being a mongrel is that pet insurance is inevitably much cheaper than had she been a pedigree. But no, so we got her in February. A couple of weeks later, she was attacked by 2 dogs, or Mastiff Lurcher type crosses. She came off very fortunate. We had a couple of puncture wounds. There's a few like random grey hairs on her, which are the scars from that. So she had a couple of puncture wounds and some complications with like the swelling not draining properly, so she had to get them like manually drained. But all in all, like, really got quite lucky with how that could have ended up when you think about it. So we had that. Then we had one of her nails shattered, and then she tore a dew claw. She's always had very bad luck with her nails. The vet thinks that there's nail damage from when she was a puppy. It was potentially that her paw was stepped on or something. So always had bad luck with her nails. And then literally the day before we were married, so we got married in July, so we had her the February. This has all happened. It's now July. I'm in the living room organising flowers, and I look down and there's this trail of blood across the floor, and she had sliced the pad of her paw open. So, day before we got married, emergency surgery. I was prepared to call the wedding off. I was having absolute kittens. I was so stressed out. But the vet staff were absolutely amazing with us, as were the kennels, because Missy was boarded for the day whilst we were getting married. And my in-laws also took Missy so that we could go and enjoy our honeymoon. We were supposed to have a doggy honeymoon, but because she was effectively bedbound to allow the injury to recover, we weren't able to take her with us. So it all worked out in the end, but my goodness, like, to this day, the vets are still like, is this the one, was it your wedding? She injured herself. And I'm like, yes, that was us. So the story has done the rounds in the vet clinic. Then we had, all in the same year, she broke some more claws. She got stuck in a tree and sprained her back, and then she also took on a badger, the wrong end of a badger. So she does have, if you will, can I lift your chin, please? Can I lift your chin? No. Can I lift your chin? It's quite hard to see. I just lift your chin up. She's got a lightning bolt scar down her chin, and that's from obviously the badger claws go away. Fair enough on the badger's part, but she's got this great big scar down her chin, and the vet said it was 1/4 of an inch. We've had a very different story. And that was all in the first year that we had Missy. since then we've had numerous nails, cut paws, we've had sprains. Like I said, she got stuck up a tree and threw her back out because she chased after a squirrel. We've had, numerous injuries. The worst ones, to be fair, were all in that first year. And I do remember saying to the vet that, you must think the worst of us were always in here with Missy. And they were like, no, all of these injuries, they're high impact injuries. She's a dog who's clearly just living life a little too hard. And that's always stuck with me, especially for being a rescue. So, yeah, Missy, the dog who loves life too hard. Isn't that right? So the why of this video, as I said before, every dog, every pet is the best pet. And there's no doubt about that. I love all of Missy's cousins just as much as I love her. They're all the best as cats and dogs. But Missy is something special. There's a quiet way she goes about her life, just calmly and stoically, that really enamors her to people. She wants and loves attention, but asks for it in the calmest way. She'll just come up to you, place her head on your knee, like this. This is her perfectly happy. This is all she wants, is to just be with people. And it's the nicest trait. I remember in the early days with my older sister, who was against us getting a rescue, she had the attitude that, why don't we get a puppy, because then its bad habits will be our own making. And I think she was concerned that with Missy at least looking like a rotty cross, that she would be aggressive. So she was really not very keen when Missy first arrived. And Missy took out a campaign, a war of emotion against my older sister. And for months, every time they met, it didn't matter if it was here, at my sister's house, my mum's house, anywhere they met, Missy would come up to her, place her head on my sister's knee, and just gaze, just asking to be loved. And it worked. My older sister is one of Missy's biggest advocates. She is completely up for rescuing and promoting it, and tells everybody about this wee stray that came into our lives. Missy's our emotional sponge. Like, if you're having a bad day, she just comes up to you, puts her head on your knee, just little emotional sponge. Like, I've got friends who, if they're in a bad headspace and they're visiting, Missy will forego hanging out with the usual biscuit givers to make sure they're okay. And it's a beautiful trait in a dog to have. We used to do pets as therapy visits, going around care homes, and particularly a social centre for adults with profound physical and mental disabilities. And Missy would just go around, just sitting with folk, chilling out with them, and the stories I could tell you guys, like, it was such a beautiful thing, a beautiful way to sort of give back to the community. That's sort of given us Missy, not to be cheesy. So yeah, that's how Missy's kind of quietly snuck into our lives and made sure that we all knew that she would be such an important part of it. Like, she's just so calm. So I've got a few things left to do on this jumper. I'm gonna put cuffs on the little armholes and possibly a little button placket. So I've asked some of the family to tell me what their favourite Missy stories are, and I will share those with you once we get this jumper finished up. But that is the last stitch cast off. Scissors somewhere. The last stitch cast off. So we're going to go get a size check on this. Hopefully it fits. We'll figure that out. But I do like the colour. The length looks okay. So we'll check the size, figure out what we need to do, and I will share some favourite stories whilst we go and do that. So this is the first fit. I've had to pin it on the side. But for a first attempt at having to like guesstimate the sizes, I'm really happy with that. You stay there, let me have a look at your back. Let me have a look at the cables. Oh, you're going, I want my biscuit mother. My biscuit mother. Let me have a quick look at the cables. Nope, we're going to just keep turning. Okie doke. I'll get that off you because I don't trust you with pins. And we'll get that finished. Firstly, in order to avoid a Viking invasion of the North, Missy is unofficially the mascot of my sister's Viking troop. So she's kind of a Viking, which is cool. But the story that won was the time that Missy met and got a hot dog from Captain Jack Sparrow. If you haven't guessed, we do like dressing up. And that's a family thing, all of us do like getting dressed up. And we were at a pirate event at Duncarron. They were doing a fancy dress contest for the kids, and I thought it'd be hilarious to put Missy in for it. Although, as you can see, initially she was the only one in for this competition. I hasten to add that I never expect Missy to win these things. I think it's funny. And kids were rounded up in the end, so the competition did go ahead. But whilst we were waiting for the deliberations, I could hear from the judges, "You can't vote for the dog." And yes, a child did win, but Missy got an honourable mention, and well, I'll just show you.
Is this for you? Well, that didn't last long. You have to be the worst partner I've ever heard of. You don't need that. Thank you. You are one hot dog. What did you I fed the prize-winning dog. You're a beaut, I know you mean it. It just went straight down, didn't it?
So yeah, Missy's claim to fame. She's had a hot dog from Jack Sparrow. I'm quite aware of how long this video is getting, so we're just gonna shoot over to the final montage, and I promise you, she looks glorious.